Well, that was quick.
Hey everyone.
Hi Matthew, how are you?
G'day there. Good. We're here again.
For another Fireside Chat.
Yep.
Awesome stuff. Just before we kick off, I'd like to do the housekeeping, if that's okay, Matthew.
Surely.
Please remember to let people know let your friends, family, and loved ones. I don't think they're mutually exclusive, are they? They could all be the same people. Please do let them know that Matthew is live tonight. He's got some really exciting stuff to share. You might go, is it really that exciting? Because I actually think that we'll find it really interesting because I'm not allowed to let the cat out of the bag. Matthew's going to share.
You go for it.
I'm going to anyway. Matthew's going to share a little bit about his own story and his own journey. And I'm sure we're all going to find bits that are relatable there that we can use to help propel us forward. So please do make sure as many people as possible get to the opportunity to tune into this live or for the replay. And that means that little arrow that goes that way, just tap on that and then make sure it gets out there, please. The other thing is we are also live on several other pages. We do what's called cross-posting. So we're live on mytimetv.live and on Women in Business Amplified. We're also live on several other pages. If you are anywhere else and you see this broadcast, please come over to Matthew Greenwood Spiritual Journeys page, because this is where the source of the broadcast is tonight. And if you don't know how to get over here, there's a link above. There is a link just up here. There is a link up here, and you can just click that and it will take you straight to the original source of the broadcast, which is Matthew's page. The other thing I would like to let you know is if you comment, you will get a message from the chat bot. If you're on mytimetv.live or if you're on Matthew Greenwood Spiritual Journeys page, we've got both chat bots hooked up. You will get a message, and the message will say, would you like to register to go in the draw for a spirit guide reading? If you don't want to register, don't do anything and nothing will happen. If you do want to register, follow the bouncy ball. It's just a matter of a few clicks. And you will be asked for your email address and phone number, and then you'll be asked for permission for us to follow you up with further notices of what's going on in Matthew's magnificent world. So
that's an assumption.
Or what he's choosing to share. So I'm going to kick it over to you for that's always a lovely segue into who was the winner from last week. Well, it's actually, just before we go into that, I'd just like to say we changed it from the winner for registrations each week. If you actually register in the chat bot, inside the chat bot, which means that you have to take an action inside the chat bot to be able to be eligible, then it doesn't matter when you actually subscribe, but you could be any time during the week. So it's anyone who's in that within that week inside of the chat bot. So there you go. If that doesn't make sense, don't worry about it. Just know that if you get a message from Matthew's page and you want to register, you've got to take some action.
Thank you, there.
Thank you. I'm out.
See ya.
Bye.
Hey guys. Well, another Thursday night, and first things first. Hey Donna, hey Daniel, Carolyn, Christina, Kylie, Patricia, and Michelle Leverington. I don't know if I've actually heard from you before, so your husband Rhett speaks very highly of me. Well, thank you. Well, here we go. So I have to make one apology before I announce last week's winner, or this week's winner. The winner before that, Leanne Muldoon, I'm still getting to you. I've been extremely busy. And Leanne, I'll get to you in the next few days to get you booked in for a spirit guide reading. But for tonight, Luke Marley is the winner. who I believe lives up on the north coast somewhere in Queensland. And it would be great to connect with you. I've heard some stories about you, and all good. I'm just turning my phone down. Sorry, guys. And there it goes. And plugging me in here. Oops. Now I'm going to have to do a quick dive to the lounge room to get my charger. Won't be a tick.
And while Matthew does that, I'm just going to take over and keep saying hello to people. Hello, Rebecca. How are you? Thank you for joining us. I think I saw you in the chat pod as well. Andrea, hi. And here's Adair, that's me, saying congratulations to Luke. So if you hear Luke or if you get this message, well done. Now, Matthew's back. So...
Dear me, the things that happen on live TV.
This is all about give him some hearts, people. Give him some hearts. This is real, you know. There's no, yeah. If you want synthesized, you have to watch Channel 9 News. Okay, so this is real life.
This is live.
Onward and upward.
Thanks, Adair. Yeah, so I've been hearing good things about Luke. I look forward to connecting with him. Now, as per usual, we're going to start the evening off with a quick meditation. So this grounding exercise is something that, for those that haven't heard of this one before, is an exercise that's here to keep people grounded. It only needs to be, once you've done it a few times, it only needs to take you about 20 to 30 seconds to do. And it's kind of like going to the gym to build muscles, except this is for your psychic abilities and your spiritual abilities. So this is all about maintenance on your energy to help keep you grounded and to help keep your vibration up. So here we go. If you would like to get yourselves comfortable and just settled in a chair or on the floor, wherever you're sitting. And just to start with, some nice, deep, full, long breaths. Round about 4 seconds in and 4 seconds out. And with each breath, just imagine each breath relates to not just oxygen coming in, but life force. So as soon as you shift from normal breathing, which is just kind of running on automatic with your breath, to a conscious breath, a lot of things happen. The conscious breath is something that's used in a lot of exercises, as in yoga, martial arts, qigong, tai chi. But all of these require a conscious breath. And so with the next breath in, making it a nice deep one, connecting with that life force, and then with the breath out, I'd like you to push that life force down through your body, down through your base chakra, your legs, your feet, and then down through into the earth. And just keep that same cycle of breathing going to get that connection to the earth. So I'll just do a couple more breaths. Those that have done this one before will have probably got that connection quite quickly. For those that haven't, generally half a dozen breaths get you there. Okay, so now with the next breath in, taking another deep one, we're actually going to go deeper now with this. So with the breath out, I want you to push that life force right down through to the core of the earth. What you're connecting with is your earth chakra, which is the deepest chakra we have in our energy system in the earth. So it is right down at the core of the earth. This chakra point relates, or connects, I should say, with the earth's core chakra itself. The two are in alignment, but it also connects with every other person that's living a conscious spiritual life that's heart connected. That earth chakra for them is wide open. If you think of people from a native culture, from the Eastern philosophies, anyone that's walking their talk, that's living that spirituality they believe in, that earth chakra is wide open. But what this also does, there's an interconnectedness that goes on between everyone that's connected to that earth chakra and the core chakra of the earth. Great. So holding that space and just relaxing your breath. Now bringing your awareness to the center of your body to start with. What we're connecting with now is what's classified as our core star energy, or the God force within. So that high vibrational energy that's connected to the Creator, to Great Spirit, to God, whatever your belief systems are on that. But it's connecting with the God force inside of us, not outside of us. As you connect with that light or that sensation of that energy, now begin to expand it out just with your thoughts. As it begins to expand out, filling your physical body from the inside out with that light, imagining that light touching every cell in your body. Imagining every cell in your body raising in frequency. Now going beyond your physical body, out into the first 7 energy bodies of the energy system, or the aura, which relates to the human aspect of us, which it's generally around 3 to 4 meters out. So expanding that light out into that space. Because I'm tuning into you guys, I can feel your energy as it's expanding out. It's pretty cool. All right, now that you're all out there, what I'd like you to do now is just let it be free. Take one big deep breath in, and then with the breath out, just push it out in all directions, limitlessly, no boundaries. Very cool. So holding that space just for a few more seconds. And so now just bringing your awareness back to your physical body. And I'm going to get you just to reground your energy, just with the base chakra is enough. So just taking those nice deep breaths, drawing that life force in, and then driving that life force down through your base, down through your legs and feet and into the earth. Very cool. There it is. So that's a slightly extended version of, only because I'm talking you through it. But for those that have done it before, I'm sure you've whittled it down to a much quicker exercise. I do this exercise between each person that I work with. What it helps for me to do is to keep my energy clean, keep my energy in the moment by that grounding exercise, but also raising my frequency. By doing that, it actually cleans my space of anyone else's energy, and it also cleans the space in my room that I work from. Hey Dorothy, how you going? I can see you just come in. And so for a practitioner, that has it has an incredible ability to keep your energy clean, so that when that next person comes in that you're working with, you're there. Every part of you is there. It's in the moment. It's not, you're not thinking about the person before, or who's coming this afternoon, or what you're having for dinner. You're right in the moment with that person. And I've got to say, that person that's coming in gets the advantage of your energy, because they can feel it, that you're all there, that you're right there with them. You know, you're not thinking about other things. Some practitioners tend to forget this stuff, that many people that are coming in to get help these days are just as aware, sometimes if not more, than the person that they're working with. So we have to keep on top of our energy to make sure that we're keeping our energy clean, which then not only do we get the advantage of that, but so does our client, and which is terribly important. You know, it's we need to be here for the bigger picture, because there's so much going on at the moment. There's so many changes happening energetically, and it's really important to find that space within us where I see that as like a neutral place, where you're not being impacted emotionally in any direction. So you're just completely neutral, stable, and grounded. So that actually is one of the most powerful things you can be. Just on that subject, so what I wanted to talk about tonight is my journey, and just to give you a few insights into the things that have happened through my life that got me here to where I am now. But just on that part about you being in the moment when you're with a client, I spent nearly 5 months in 2001 on an Indian reservation. So it was Rosebud Indian Reservation, and this was an incredibly powerful time for me when I went over there. I learnt a lot of things that I hoped I was going to learn, but there was a lot of other things which I just had no idea that I was going to be learning. And so I just wanted to share something. I was, look, one of the biggest things I wanted to do was talk to a few elders and just get an opinion from them of what was going on the planet, and learn about the culture more, and so what I did, I made connections, or I had some meetings with a few elders, and this one particular elder, who was a beautiful guy, very heart-centered, very much grounded, as you would expect with a Native American elder, so I'd asked him a few questions, and I was listening to the answers. But what I found I was doing, it was like there was two parts to me. There's a spiritual part and there's the human part. And the spiritual part was listening to what was going on, but I seemed to have no control of it. And And so what happened was, as he's talking, as he's telling me something, which was quite pivotal in the conversation we were having, he was explaining something, and I could feel this stuff coming up in my head around, oh, yeah, I can acknowledge that. I had an experience that blah, 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 blah. And this was all rattling around in my head. And what I realized was I'd stopped actually listening. I'm listening to myself. And the reason I was listening to myself was because I was actually trying to, I think, partially impress him that I understood what he was talking about. So I was trying to prove myself to him. And so in that process, guess what? I was in my ego. I wasn't listening clearly anymore. And so this went on a couple of times. And then when there was a gap in the conversation, I thought, bang, there I am. I'll jump in and just explain what was going on in my head. And as I started talking, he's looking at me and he gave me this look. And it wasn't anger that I felt, but he hadn't finished talking. I couldn't wait to find a gap in the conversation to get out of me, because this was about proving myself. And that taught me a huge lesson in the way we think, how we, in our insecurities, our ego tends to come in and go into justification mode or proving mode, or getting ourselves up there rather than feeling like we're not fitting in. What that taught me to do was to actually be more grounded, to have a much clearer head. And grounding is actually, funnily enough, is the biggest thing you can be doing to achieve that. So let's just have a quick look at what happens when you're not grounded. You must be sitting on some sort of fears, anxieties, or oppressed energy, whatever it is. When you're not grounded, you tend to get into that needing to prove yourself mode, and you're not just happy to accept yourself for who you are. And so that's when all of this stuff comes in your head. But what happens when you've got a client? You can just see what's going on. You're actually not listening to them anymore. Now, the one thing I learnt really clearly when I was speaking to that elder, once I turned that around and I actually got my head out the way and I just took a few breaths and I grounded my energy, what happened was I not only was hearing his words, I was actually feeling his words, because there's a lot that goes on in between the words. When you begin to feel the energy that's coming from a person, you get far more of the story, because the words say so much, and but the actual energy, because when a person's either thinking or actually physically acting something out, or when they're talking, there's an energy that's driving those words, those actions, or those thoughts. So when you can actually pick up on the energy behind those actions, then you get a whole lot more out of connecting with people. So this is the sort of stuff I teach people to do now. I mentor a lot of practitioners now. So let's step it back a few years. So I've been doing this work for about, it's about 31 years now. And before that, I was full-time. I had my own business as a furniture maker, and still carried on with the furniture making for several years after I got into this, the spiritual side of me. And what happened was I just felt with those times that came forward, I knew there was a time coming when I'd be letting go of the furniture making and stepping into the spiritual aspect. And it did for me about 10 years ago. So I've been doing this work now, spiritual work full time, for about 10 years. But let's go back right to when I first started. So my life previous, so I'm 61 now, the first 29 years of my life, 29 to 30 years of my life, was, let's say, a little bit messed up emotionally and physically and mentally. And look, spiritually, I didn't feel connected to too much other than I really enjoyed walking in a forest. That was my spiritual connection. Didn't have a religious upbringing, but it was very important for me to be around forests. So I tended to do a lot of bushwalking back in those days. Now, what happened when I was about 29, 30, I was in my workshop working on a piece of furniture. I think I was carving a table leg, and I'd never consciously had a what I would classify as a spiritual experience previous to this. But what happened was I heard someone speaking to me, a male, and it was very clear, very strong words. And this male voice said to me, "Matthew, there's more to you and there's more to life. You need to find it." And when I heard those words, you know, a lot of people would have gone, "Oh, what was that?" But it's almost like it triggered something inside me. A switch was flicked, and what happened when that switch was actually turned on? I started looking back at my life. I'm sure it was only like a few seconds, but when I started to look back at my life, I started to see things that I actually hadn't noticed before. So I'd had a pretty colourful medical history. Between the ages of 2 and 9, I had bronchial asthma really bad. I'd been hospitalised a few times. At 16, I ended up getting cancer in the lymph node here, and Hodgkin's disease, officially it was called. And then at 23, I ended up getting diabetes, insulin dependent, which is not normal to get it at that age. Normally it's either early age or old age onset. And then at 29, so I was 29 at that time when I heard that voice. And I look back and I'm thinking, hang on, what's going on here? I've never seen this before. 2 to 9 is 7 years. 9 to 16 is 7 years. 16 to 23 is 7 years. And I was coming up to 30. So what I realized I was doing was running a 7-year cycle. And it wasn't a terribly positive one. There were positive things involved in it, but it always seemed to end up being something at the end of each cycle that was becoming even more detrimental physically. So what happened when I made that connection to that awareness of that I was running a 7-year cycle, I looked where I was, and I was 6 years in to the finish of the next 7-year cycle. And I knew the way I was living, I knew it wasn't a healthy way to live, what was going on for me emotionally, mentally, physically. And I knew I had to change what I was doing. And so that then led me on a whole journey. It was like an adventure. And it changed a lot of my life. The relationship I was in, it changed the dynamics between me and everyone. And this is something I learned that happens whenever you make a step to change your life, then nothing stays the same between you and everyone around you. And this is a very powerful part of spiritual growth. It's also a scary part of spiritual growth in the beginning, because all of the people you thought were friends that were around you aren't necessarily the friends you think they are, particularly when you begin to understand that a lot of people that are around you, particularly, and most people out there that are listening who are of a sensitive nature will get this one. Sensitive people tend to attract, particularly when they're in that out of balance state, tend to attract very needy people. And it's an energetic connection like a magnet, because if we're prepared to give of ourselves and give and give and give, then what happens is we tend to attract very needy people because they take. It's not that they're bad people. It's not that we're bad people. It's just this is the way we've been programmed to live because of the experiences that have happened in our life. So a lot of people think that that's their life and that's who they are, but that's so far from the truth. We have the capability to change. Everyone has the capability to change. If anyone says they can't or they don't believe they can, well, it's they're probably avoiding the fact that they actually have to do something different, and that's a really good quality old saying. You know, if you want to change your life, you need to start doing different things because the same old thing isn't going to get you into a new place, into a new positive place. So sometimes drastic things occur, like confronting people. I was never a confrontationalist. I was never good at dealing with people on that level. So I'd always suck it in and just take the brunt of things. And after that, after I began to see what I was doing, believe me, I started to change because I didn't want to keep doing the same old thing. I needed to change. I had to work on a lot of my emotional baggage. And, you know, spiritual, this is a funny thing, I guess. You know, a lot of people that are out there, like myself, doing this stuff, I don't know that everyone sees exactly what we actually take ourselves through. You know, it's when I stepped into this, when I discovered that about spirit and that there is an energy that's watching over us and helping to drive our life, I made a very, very clear statement to spirit, and it was pretty much like this: if this isn't going to help me, and if this isn't going to help other people, then I don't want a bar of it. I'll just go back to furniture making, because I already had a successful furniture business. I was booked up 9 months in advance. I wasn't terribly happy on the inside, but financially I was doing okay. And it's that the happiness on the inside that wasn't there. That what's the good of being financially secure if you're not secure in your emotions, if you're not happy in your emotions? So for me to move ahead, I needed to break down the whole system. The whole system had to fall apart. And it's funny because there's such a microcosm, macrocosm thing going on at the moment. What started happening 11 years ago, which I've talked about quite a lot in these talks. 11 years ago, we had a shift in energy that's been a constant ever since, and will continue to be for about another 83 years. And that's a raising in frequency that's going to be here with us for a total of 94 years, I've been told. And so this raising of frequency is doing exactly what I just said I had to do, which is to break down the old systems. So this raising of frequency is impacting everything and everyone. And of course, everything of a negative nature, if you bring it to the microcosm, for me, it was everything inside me that was of a negative nature. Any old baggage, any repressed energy, memories, anything like that stuff, I had to bring up to the surface to clear out the way. But I'll get back to that one in a sec. But also, so now, this is exactly what's happening on the planet. So these old systems are breaking down everywhere. The political systems, the banking systems, the religious systems, you name it. Everything's breaking down. Anything of a manipulative, controlling nature, you're going to see it falling apart. But it's also falling apart in us. So this is why things like that grounding exercise is so important to keep our energy stable. Now, the one thing I learnt that was most necessary to actually achieve spiritual growth, and I mean really define spiritual growth, was for me, and I'm a fairly self-driven person. I can be like a dog with a bone sometimes. For me, I needed to make a commitment to myself to grow and to do everything I could do to actually keep growing and to keep moving through any issues that were coming in the way. And it takes you on a bit of a spiraling journey sometimes, because you start to see many patterns that sometimes you don't really like about yourself. But they're the things that we need to see, because it's those negative things that keep us doing the same old thing. And so it's important for us to actually break through those. It's not going to happen by magic or with a big fairy wand. It'd be nice if it did, but it doesn't. And I've seen people who have tried to just think that spirit will just take it away from me, and I've seen them get sick, and it doesn't work. We have to be a little bit self-driven to actually move through stuff. Unfortunately, look, the New Age has been a very powerful change for humanity. But there was some, I guess, misinformation that was being brought to the surface in the early days of the New Age, and that was to develop your skills. You have to work with the upper chakras, like from the heart up. Those earthly chakras aren't going to help you open up spiritually. Well, sorry guys, it's totally wrong. I've got to say, I've seen it enough over the years, over the 31 years I've been doing this work. What is important is actually to do whatever you can to strengthen the base chakra energy, because that's your foundation. If the base chakra energy relates to all of the negative emotions, the repressed emotions, all of your insecurities, all of your fears, if you have those things in you, and I'd love to meet someone who hasn't got anything like that in them, but if you've got anything like that in you, then it's your base chakra energy that is more affected. The thing is, with the old teachings of the New Age, it was impressed upon people to let the emotions go, because what we're doing is we're waiting to ascend and waiting for the mothership to come and take us away. Seriously, they're words I heard back then. And we don't have to worry about dealing with emotions. So people are trying to open up spiritually, and it never worked. It was never consistent. It worked to some degree, but it was never actually fully. There was not a lot of full strength behind it. It was very, very inconsistent in the way people's abilities came to the surface. So look, where we're at, we're at 7:38. So we're about halfway through the talk. So what I'd love to do is to start opening up to questions, and I'll continue with so if you guys have got any questions about spiritual growth, I'd love to hear them. And let's just go back to thank you, Matthew, very peaceful. Thanks, Rebecca. Hey, Sue. So Sue said, I used to always walk for miles looking for any livestock that was needing help. It was the only place I found peace. And yeah, look, one of the, we tend to, sensitive people do connect with animals a lot, because animals aren't judgmental. They have no expectations, and their energy is normally pretty clean. And the reason we connect with them is obviously because people's energy can be tainted. And I talked about this, I think, a couple of weeks ago, about how empaths can be a victim to their empathic abilities, or they can be very powerful with those abilities. And when the empathic side of you is controlling you, it relates right back to that base chakra energy, which it's all about what's repressed inside us. And this is a bit of rule of thumb. So as far as spiritual growth goes, when the base chakra energy has been impacted by experiences that create fears and anxiety, what happens is that then has an interesting effect on people around you. And it doesn't have to be people you know. It can be just walking along a mall in a shopping centre. Because what happens is, and this is directly related to empaths, if you're walking along and you've got insecurities and stuff you haven't dealt with, then what happens is you actually attract other people's negative energy into your space that relates to the insecurities and the fears that you already have. It's like a magnet. And what it does, it just keeps compacting on top of stuff you've already got. So you can say that, look, I've met some people who are empaths who don't have a handle on their base chakra energy, and they're constantly in fear of being around people. And probably about 3/4 of the energy around insecurities and fears aren't theirs. It's just a compaction of other people's fears and anxieties that they've taken on. So that compounds, and it can make you feel very disconnected. And of course, what does it do? It causes depression. And looking back, I think I had depression for many years, but I never actually did anything about it. I kept myself busy. So Shirley Dartnell, I know that feeling of not speaking about how you feel. Yeah. Look, that's been, for a lot of people, that was part of our training. You know, everyone wears a happy face in the family. You don't talk about your feelings because generally back then, a lot of people's parents were coming from a really hard century. Like last century was very difficult, and it was a very just make do type century. Because if you think from the beginning of last century to the end of last century, it was pretty much world conflict right throughout. And when that's in the consciousness of humanity, people tend to harden up, and they don't tend to connect so well emotionally. And so we're the ones that have been coming out of that training, that programming, and we're trying to shift that. And so we have to, be gentle on ourselves, but we also have to push through it. It's not going to happen by itself. Patricia Brown said, dare I say, all chakras matter. Oh, most definitely. But what the base chakra is the foundation. Treat the base chakra like the foundation of a skyscraper. So, the penthouse is the crown chakra. Well, actually, there's further because there's many, many chakras above the head. And if the base chakra isn't stable, then none of the chakras will be stable. The more stable the base chakra is, that in itself stabilizes the other chakras. It doesn't mean the other chakras won't have, say, stuck energy in there at times, but if you have a really strong base chakra, it actually has a knock-on effect to all of the other chakras in that it allows the energy to open up and to be free instead of being suppressed. And look, particularly when you take into consideration what's going on the planet now with this raising in frequency, that's having a positive effect on our energy system too. And Mandy, I'm interested in spiral dynamics and integrating all aspects of ourselves for evolution of ourselves and humanity. I'm wondering if that would tie into the chakra system. Look, got to say, Mandy, there's so much of our energy system that's opening up. Once upon a time, the belief system around the energy, our aura, was that there are 7 energy bodies and 7 chakras, 7 major chakras. Yes, there are minor chakras in the knees, ankles, soles of the feet, palms of the hand, shoulders. I mean, there's quite a lot of minor chakras. But those 7 major chakras were what people believe that's all there is. When in fact, in the workshops I teach, it's only because we've run out of space, but I've got up to 32 energy bodies and a whole lot more chakras. a grounding exercise that I take people through, that earth chakra, I only started noticing probably about maybe 10, 11 years ago, 12 years ago. And that has an incredible connection to our deep level of spirituality and connection with the earth, but also our connection with all other cultures on the planet. So a lot of our energy system has been dormant, but also a lot of our energy system hasn't been visible because our vibration, our awareness levels haven't been capable of seeing it because they haven't been at a high enough frequency. So there's a lot going on, and yes, there are many levels of energy that are opening up within us. I've mentioned this a little while ago. Part of the energy system that's opening up that I noticed going back about 7 years is the glands within the body. They started to raise in frequency with this environmental energy that's raising in frequency. But what also was going on, why they kicked in, was because of the dormant DNA that's within us. And this is the origins of humanity. It's all extraterrestrial DNA. And so what's been happening, there is a great deal of that that's still dormant. But what's happening now, and why the glands kicked in on a higher energetic level, is to cope with the integration of that dormant DNA becoming active. And it's all about frequency. It's not all opening up at the same time, but it's opening up bit by bit with each level of vibration that raises. So Adair's saying, I remember doing that 10 years ago. It felt like darts were being thrown at me when I went to the shopping centre. Yeah, very much. Kylie, yeah, feeling like you're drained. Yep, so I avoided them. This is, I'm assuming, other people. And yeah, literally, sensitive people, particularly empaths, can be, we may as well have, when we're in our unstable state, we may as well paint a target on our back, because people that are manipulators see us or feel our energy, and they just know that they can manipulate us. It's only when you you learn to understand your energy system and learn to see what's causing instability, that actually you can turn this whole thing around. It's a very powerful thing when you do start to turn this around, because suddenly you become the one that's holding your energy strong. Other people can't affect it, and it's a constant learning curve. With this, each time you think you've got your energy understood and you have a handle on it, then you start to see more that maybe is susceptible to being impacted by negative people or negative energy. So Daniel's saying, we talk about raising our frequencies, especially dealing with our guides, and becomes extremely important when new ones are coming on the scene. Is there anything in particular we need to, or how to raise our frequencies? Well, that in that exercise, that grounding exercise I gave you, that tapping into that core star energy, that's about the highest you can get. That's about the highest frequency that you can get. So if you can do that, like I said, if you want to build muscles, you go to a gym on a regular basis. Well, this is no different. If you want to build your psychic or your spiritual abilities, you need to be doing something that's going to support that. And it's funny, we're taught to wash our hair and clean our bodies as we're growing up and clean our teeth, but I haven't heard of anyone being taught how to clean your energy, how to manage your energy. This is something that was just never talked about. And it's only through all the work I've been doing on myself over the years, and I got to say, I'm a nuts and bolts kind of person. I like to know. I don't like doing the Band-Aid thing. I think it's far more important to actually get to the core of why we become unstable, and then you've got something to deal with. Because otherwise, you can continuously chasing your tail. Um, so, so other ways to raise your frequency are, like I said, is to deal with your emotional baggage, because emotional baggage, fears and anxieties relate to low vibrational energy. So if you want your energy to raise in frequency, then you clear that stuff out, and your whole energy system raises in frequency anyway. A byproduct. It's funny the way we're taught in the New Age to develop our skills. We're taught to focus on these upper chakras, like I've said in the past. We're taught to buy the right crystal, and I've got nothing against crystals, believe me, because I've got quite a few myself. Anyone that's worked with me knows I've got heaps of crystals here in the room. But they are tools. They are tools. Also, you can be working with drum medicine, or you can be working with sage. Sage helps to raise your frequency because it tends to dissipate surface level negative energy. But by actually dealing with the stuff that's stuck in the base chakra energy, that breaks down the base chakra energy, you naturally raise your frequency. This is the beauty of doing this work from the inside out. If you are focused, if you make it your mission to deal with all of the negative energy that you've got, when it's the right timing to do so, then you're naturally going to raise your frequency anyway. And what comes along with that is you attract better people, better situations, better opportunities, and your abilities start to go through the roof. It's just a natural part of that type of spiritual growth. So Adair's saying, so you know what it's like, Kylie. At the time, I thought I was the only person on the planet that was experiencing this. And sometimes, because we tend to be surrounded by people that are a little bit more disconnected, we do think we're the only ones. We think we're strange because no one seems to be able to help us. It's only when you start to find more people like this, and along the way, along the journey, particularly around spiritual growth, one of the most important things to find are people that understand you and go along the journey with you and are prepared to, take the same journey you're taking, whether it be a friend, a family member, a partner. There's nothing better than having support around you. That can be, and look, what's happening now in particular, wow, at the moment, what's going on is at no other time in humanity's history has spiritual growth got to this point. The amount of spiritual growth happening on the planet has surpassed any other time in Earth's history. And that's a statement that comes from my guides, and it's a statement that also comes from galactic beings that I work with. And I take it very seriously. And I can see it, 30 years ago when I first started, it was a rarity to find people that were opening up spiritually. Now, my goodness, they're everywhere. They're coming out of the woodwork. So Trish is saying, where there is important work to be done, inner work to be done, and as the body is regarded as lesser, it's where the denied darkness manifests unseen. Okay. I can only, if I relate to that, it's the fact that, look, all I can say to that one is when I'm teaching, when I'm mentoring, when I'm teaching any of the workshops I teach, we have to be conscious of 4 major parts of us. We're not just spiritual, we're not just physical, we're not just emotional, we're not just on a mental plane. We are physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. And if we're going to grow spiritually, we need to be doing things that are supporting all 4, not just 1 or 2, because it will always be chasing our tail and we'll always get frustrated that we're not getting anywhere. So on all of those levels, it's really about finding peace and tranquility, but also about moving through anything that's getting in the way or hampering growth on those areas. And look, it's important. You have to be ruthless sometimes to actually achieve that. If you want to grow, it's all about choice, and only we can actually make those choices. So Rebecca is saying, my thoughts on this point is that most people seem to focus on the heart, third eye, and crown. Very true, because they are very spiritual, in inverted commas. But the base chakra is the foundation, and doing self-work on the chakra enables the other chakras to open up clearly and easier. That's what I said before. And it can be very challenging to clear the base, most definitely. Connect with Mother Earth chakra. The earth chakras are easier to reach a vibration with a high frequency, just my opinion. And the lower chakras is where all the human stuff exists. And that's what many spiritual people avoid like the plague. And it's not because, like I said, not because they're bad people, it's because there hasn't been the training provided to bring that into people's consciousness. That's why I do what I do, to help people achieve that. I might just follow on a little bit further. So we're almost at 8 o'clock already. Gee, that goes quick. Look, I haven't even got halfway, a quarter of the way there of what things I wanted to say. Maybe I can leave more for next week, but let's just do a little bit more. So in the beginning years, I was like a sponge, incredibly like a sponge. And I had so much going on back then. My awareness levels were shooting up within, the first night I did meditation. Basically, it was only a couple of weeks after hearing that voice of my guides. I started seeing energy, and I saw my first guide during a meditation. The interesting part was when I saw that guide, it completely blew me away. I'd never seen anything like that. And so what happened, I came along the next week to the meditation group, and I'm going, yeehaw, this is great. I'm going to talk to this Indian guide again. And I got absolutely zip. I didn't get anything. The next night came along, and I thought, oh, surely he's going to talk to me again tonight. Still nothing. So what I did the following meditation, I thought to myself, well, maybe this is just a once-off. Maybe this was there to show me that guides actually exist, and that they have information for us. And maybe that's all I was needing to know. And so maybe I'll never see guides again. Well, guess what happened? I saw a different guide the next night. And so what I realized got in the way, which is what gets in a lot of people's way when they're trying to open up spiritually and psychically, open up their abilities, is when you have an expectation, particularly in those beginning years, that expectation ends up becoming a brick wall. And it's very difficult to move through that, because the head is a very powerful part of us. You know, when we're in balance, the heart and the head work together. But the problem is, having had difficulties when you're growing up, being sensitive, being an empath, and not having control of your abilities, all of that stuff that impacts us as we're growing up, it tends to very much affects our energy, but it also when the base chakra shuts down, a tendency is there for the heart to shut down as well. So with us moving through life, there are two things that generally drive us through life: heart and the head. Now, if the heart shut down to a great degree, then what happens is the head tends to run the show, and that's when the head gets in the way of spiritual growth, because your head or your ego is only comfortable with what it knows, what it's experienced up until this moment right now. So anything else beyond that, the head will question, and particularly the longer your head's been in control, the more it questions. So there's a process I take people through where we get the head comfortable with spiritual growth, and then it tends not to control it. And because as soon as your head comes in, your heart's open and you're experiencing something on a spiritual level, then the head comes in and goes, oh, it's just my imagination. Is this something that, because Matt said this could happen, it's just my imagining. So then as soon as you start questioning things, bang, the door shuts on your spiritual abilities, because the head's taken control again. The head's there to keep you safe, to not let you fall into just anything. But the problem is the head when it becomes in control and becomes controlling, then it's very difficult to break through it unless you get some help with it. So look, that went so quick. I can't believe that's an hour. But what I'd like to do next week is to follow through with this again, and I'll do some more, because the whole journey, when you talk about spiritual growth, it's a huge journey, and I'd like to touch on a few other subjects with this, and experiences that I've had, and the way things have opened up for me, because it may help other people who have gone through similar experiences, and so they realise that they're the new normal. I don't even like that word, normal. There's almost a judgment with that. So it means that there are other people that are having similar experiences. So look, guys, it was really great sharing with you, and if there's anything I can do to help, either with readings, so I see spirit guides, I see energy and feel energy. Readings consist of an hour of me sharing what your guides want to say to you. And also I help people look into those deeper recesses in the subconscious, where a lot of energy and a lot of memories and emotions are stored that we're not capable of seeing ourselves. And it takes sometimes someone that has the skills and is objective to your personal stuff to be able to get there. And what else? And I do a lot of mentoring with practitioners these days. Now, the other thing, if I just go to my piece of paper, I've got some workshops coming up, which are really good ones. So anyone that's done level 1 shamanism with me already, there's a level 2 coming up on June 27th and 28th. There is also another level 1 coming up after that, which is the 18th and 19th of July. Those are both in Birdwood. There's Healing the Healers. So myself and Monica the Enchantress are going to be working at Riverdale. It's going to be a big day. We're going to be starting early and finishing a bit later. And so that's there to support other healers that may be having difficulties in certain areas. So I've certainly helped people a lot with starting their business, and I'm talking, just plain, practical, down-to-earth things to help their business to evolve. Besides the energy stuff, which is, there's so much you can be doing energetically to help your business to evolve as well. And also, for anyone that wants to make a drum, I have a drum making workshop coming up on the 12th of July. So if you want to get in touch with me, I think Adair put my phone number up. That is honestly, that is the best way to contact me. and I'd love to share or help or give you more information. So thanks, guys. I really appreciate you coming along for the journey, and we'll talk on, well, next Thursday, but also if you want to join the meditation on Monday night, the link will be there for that. One last question here, which I'm going to share because it's a fairly high, there's a high interest in this. So Mel Jubb, hi Matthew, do you recommend, there we go. Do you recommend working with ayahuasca or other hallucinogenic medicines to help bring forth suppressed negative energy? Good question. Yes and no. Depends on the person running the ceremony. It can be a dicey one because there are a lot of people out there that are not, let's say, in the best of spaces to be running ceremonies. They're not connecting well enough with the people. I've heard of some weekends where they do ayahuasca and peyote in the one weekend, which is totally crazy. To be honest, I know ayahuasca does work for some people, but I also know there's no easy tablet for getting rid of negative energy. And that's what a lot of people are using ayahuasca for, unfortunately, and peyote. To me, the important way is to get every little bit of it. And what I'll do next week, I'll talk about the way I take people through energy clearing, and it'll give you more insight into just how deep energy sits and the other things that are affected by negative energy, which sometimes ayahuasca does not get to. Look, on that note, thanks everyone for being a part of tonight. And if I've missed your questions, I'm sorry. But please bring them next week with you, and be happy to talk to you. So thanks, guys. Talk to you next week. Bye for now.